48-Hour Incident was a program of performance art and live actions initiated or performed by artists. It ran over 48 hours over a weekend from 6 p.m. on Friday in late May through to 6 p.m. on Sunday. It was part of a broader project called Mass Group Incident that we conceived last year to really address kind of questions of art that really challenge social frameworks and historical narrative. The artists that we approached to participate in 48-Hour Incident range from early career right through to established and well-known names. These included Francis Barrett, Dadang Christanto, JD Reforma, Tony Schwensen, Abdullah M.I. Syed, Latai Taumoepeau, Salote Tawale, Walk the Rock and Lara Thoms, and Samson Young.
My name is Latai Taumoepeau and my new work is Dark Continent. Dark Continent is a durational performance of myself spray tanning my already dark coloured skin with much darker tones of spray tan over a period of 48 hours. So I'm spray tanning myself every 4 hours while I'm living at the gallery for the whole 48 hours of the season. I identify myself as a punake, which is a composer of movement and poetry. It also loosely translates as a body-centered artist. I'm not that interested in dance vocabulary in my practice, and I haven't embodied practice, so I like to impose things on my body that then generate a response or a reaction, or it interacts with something, a material, or so I like to build images. So the process of Dark Continent is that I enter the front room of the gallery, and there's a plinth, white plinth against white walls with two large fluorescent lights on stands, and I enter the space. I turn on a spray tanning machine, and it's an air compressor and a gun, and I commence spray tanning my body with the spray tan product. But I've found it really interesting, and I've felt quite vulnerable as well when people of colour have passed, and making choices to do some really everyday things like go and get a coffee or have breakfast out with anybody from the gallery is a big decision, because for me it puts me in a vulnerable position where I'm not framed by this work. It's something that's constructed, and outside of this setting is potentially a lot of problems. So I've chosen to not depart from the space because it can be read quite offensively to many people.
My name's Francis Barrett, and I'm an artist whose practice takes the form of body-based actions, endurance performances, and collaborative projects. And for 48-Hour Incident, I presented a work called The Wrestle. So The Wrestle was a live performance between myself and one of the co-curators of 48-Hour Incident, Toby Chapman, and we performed a freestyle wrestle in the gallery space. So it was a real competition, a real battle, a real fight between the two of us. And I originally proposed to double my artist fee or go for nothing. So if I won, I doubled the fee, and if I lost, I got nothing. I guess when Aaron and Toby first approached me, they pitched or proposed the project as looking at collaborative or collective actions that had a political impact and a symbolic resonance. So I came back to them with the proposition to freestyle wrestle one of them. And Toby said yes to the challenge. And so we went through a process of 8 weeks. Every Friday we would meet up and go through a training session with Carissa Holland, who's a Commonwealth athlete. And we would travel to Fairfield to her gym, and we would learn the sort of techniques, the strategies, the intentions of freestyle wrestling. We learnt all of the rules, and we trained our bodies to be able to compete. So the wrestle went for 6 minutes. It was broken up in 3 2-minute intervals with like a minute in between. We did it on a point scoring system so that whenever someone was thrown to the ground, there would be 4 points, or, someone's chest exposed, that would be 2 points. And so as Carissa adjudicated, she marked the points up on the wall, and at the end it was 18-0, Toby's way. It's a very high impact, intense sport. It's a really quick battle. I was interested in it because it is the meeting of two bodies really intensely, and I was interested in what the actual physicality of wrestling symbolises. So taking that from the dojo, from outside of the sporting context, and putting it in the gallery, those bodies take on a different type of significance. That wrestle, that choreography of bodies takes on a different type of resonance. And my practice is very much about recontextualising sort of gestures and small gestures or small actions, and looking at what the context of the gallery brings to that. I hate losing. I hate it so much. I hated losing.
In conceptualising this project, obviously we wanted to be working with artists not only from Australia, but also throughout Asia Pacific. So we worked with Samson who presented his performance Nocturne, which involves the artist producing a live Foley sound effect track to footage that he sourced from the internet of night bombings from Gaza in the Middle East. It's quite a personal performance and a personal experience for the audience, because the audience not only witnesses the artist producing the soundtrack, but also listens to it through FM radios, which can be taken outside of the gallery as well. One of the other areas of focus for 48 Hour Incident was looking at performance art within the context of Indonesia. So we worked with Dadang Christanto, who is a prominent Indonesian Australian performance artist, as well as Wok the Rock and Lara Thoms, Wok being a contemporary artist from Jakarta, and Lara Thoms is an Australian artist. Jakarta Whiplash Revisited 1993 is the name of the project by Wok and Lara. The project came out of some research by Wok and Lara looking at the history of heavy metal music in Indonesia, and specifically at a concert in 1993 in Jakarta by Metallica that resulted in a riot and the subsequent banning of heavy metal music for 20 years. So in fact it was President Jokowi, who was at the time the mayor of Jakarta, but in 2013 allowed Metallica to return to Jakarta. The performance itself involved the artist collaborating with Damage Inc., who are a Metallica cover band from Australia. And Wok and Lara devised a playlist of songs that were from the 1993 concert for the band to play. Accompanying the concert, the artists had actually developed their own line of unofficial merchandise, which was not only to kind of memorialise the 1993 event and the performance itself, but would also double as equipment that would be suitable in a riot environment. So there was a t-shirt that can double as a balaclava, or a Molotov cocktail that was also an energy drink. Although it was a project of kind of contemporary performance, we're also quite interested in looking at the history of this kind of social engagement and activism with performance art in the region. So Dadang Christanto presented a suite of 3 performances, each of which deal with the history of the Communist Party in Indonesia, and specifically with the disappearance of a number of prominent communist party members, including the artist's father. The performances that we presented were Litsis, which is quite a powerful performance which involves audience members pelting the artist with flower bombs. We also presented a very early work by Dadang Christanto called Toothbrushing, which, as the name suggests, involves the artist brushing his teeth with a red liquid that ended quite dramatically. And finally, with a performance called For Those Who Have Been Lost.